bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here. I got time. It's clear to see.
Hello, my name is Alvin Wells, and I'm the Timber Sales Contracting Officer on the Cassation National Forest in Pineville, Louisiana. As the Timber Sales Contracting Officer, my daily jobs are mainly concerned with timber sale administration. I work in cohort with our timber sales prep, Forestry, and together we are the program managers for timber sales on the Cassation National Forest. I've been with the U.S. Forest Service for over 18 years. My career actually began with the Forest Service as an intern while I was studying urban forestry at Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As an intern, it introduced me to different aspects of the Forest Service. I actually was able to get my master's degree in urban forestry with a concentration in GIS. At the time, I was brought on as what they called a SCEP student or a SCEP intern, which is a student career employment program. During that, I was considered a trainee, to where I was introduced to the different aspects of the Forest Service, from doing forest management to doing recreation management, working in silviculture, working in timber sale prep, working in timber sale admin. From that trainee program, I was able to secure an opportunity as a prescription forester. As a prescription forester, my responsibilities were pretty much planning out what needed to be done in the forest landscape. After becoming a prescription forester, I was able to become a certified silviculturalist. In doing certified silviculturalist duties, I also continued to plan on what needed to be done on the forest, but I also was able to plan and implement the actual activities that were going on. Since then, I've become a timber management assistant with the primary duties of doing timber sale preparation. A few things I would like to mention to students about potential employment with the Forest Service is that there are many opportunities out there, and that you can start early prior to, graduating from college. You can actually start by volunteering. You can look into some of our youth programs where you can do internships. There's just a few off the top of my head, or the Pathways program, Youth Conservation Corps, Resource Assistance Program. There's various opportunities out there for you to start early in order to find employment with the Forest Service. And the main place to start is usajobs.gov. To me, on public lands, the difference between forest management, restoration, and regeneration in simple terms. Management, to me, means maintaining what you have. Regeneration is going to be improving upon what you have. And restoration is more of trying to get back to something that you once had and trying to bring that back. So for management on national forest lands, we do a lot of forest management in the simplest forms of trying to maintain a healthy, diverse forest. But a lot of our work also focuses on restoration, on trying to bring back some type of ecosystem that was once here prior to our time being here, and other things that have happened since then. For the national forest system across the whole United States, we have over 190 million acres that the Forest Service manages. That's 154 national forests, 20 grasslands, and that's in 44 states. In Louisiana, on the Cassation National Forest, we have over 604,000 acres that we manage. And that's from bayous to prairies to bottomland hardwoods to our main management type would be upland pine. For the Cassation National Forest, we follow the same goals as the national mission, which is to sustain the health, diversity, and productivity of national forests and grasslands for present and future generations. We focus a lot on the Cassation, on ecosystem restoration, wildlife habitat improvement, and multi-use opportunities, such as, especially in recreation. So those are our main priorities on the Cassation. Today what we're looking at is an area that was damaged by both Hurricane Laura and Delta back in August and September of 2020. During those two storms, an estimated 294,000 acres had some type of damage on it. Approximately 17,000 acres what we would consider severe damage, and another 150,000 of moderate damage, and another 125,000 of light damage. And so our priority prior to the storm was what I stated earlier, doing some forest management practices, some thinnings, some restoration cuts in order to bring back long leaf on this particular unit. But since the storms have hit, our main priority has been on salvage operations. What we have here is a salvage operation going on an area that we considered that was moderately damaged during Hurricanes Laura and Delta. Through this process, we are trying to maintain the health of the National Forest by coming in and removing the down timber that could become a hazardous fuel problem and also a bug infestation problem. In a few years, with the material that's being picked up and the use of prescribed fire, we could actually reduce the hazardous fuels materials by quite a lot on these type of sites. Prescribed fire on our national forest is key. That's one of our main priorities too, as part of the ecosystem restoration process, is making sure we have prescribed fire on the ground. Prescribed fire improves wildlife habitat, and it also improves the species composition of your forest, because prescribed fire helps remove undesirable species. And in this case, on this site, our desirable species is longleaf, and it's more resistant to prescribed fire than loblolly would be. This salvage operation is also helping us in eliminating some of the loss of merchantability that was due to the damaged timber. As estimated over the whole area that was damaged, it's estimated that an estimate of $6 to $8 million will be lost from Hurricanes Laura and Delta. Doing salvage operations like these gives us an opportunity to reclaim some of those dollars back into the national forest system. Working with public land agencies, you're offered an opportunity to work in different aspects where it's not all about profit. The majority of my time is spent on implementing projects that are done for other resources. So profit is secondary.
All right, my name is David Campbell, and I'm with the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, and I handle, my title is Forestry Program Manager for Forest Management. And so I handle anything to do with management with the Louisiana Department of Agriculture and Forestry, I handle. Graduated from LSU in Forest Management. I started with the state in 2000. It was my first job in 2006. And I didn't start college till I was about 25 years old, so that's why I'm a little older than most. But I was a unit forester in Natchitoches Parish. And my first, I always tell people, me and my wife went up there. I already had a 18-month-old daughter, and we went up there to look to find a place to live when I found out I got that job. And I rode by that office, that state office, and I seen people there. It was on Saturday or Sunday, you know, and I said, what the heck? And so I realized my first day on the job, while they were all there, I went on 3 wildfires my first day on the job. So I ended up transferring down here, and I was a parish forester down here for a while, and then I moved up to a district manager's job. And then from there, I went on into the Baton Rouge office, and handled the forest management for the whole state. So right now, my main job right now is handling we have a state cost share program that we cost share tree planting, and then of course what goes with that is all the different site preps. We cost share prescribed burns, chemical releases, and things like that. So we fund about $3.5 million a year in forest practices, and through severance taxes that are paid by landowners when they cut timber. So we have a 2-month sign-up period to spend that $3.5 million. So it's wide open. I handle and I do have help, handling it, but we handle about 550 applications a year. And I guess the hardest part about that is you have to learn a little bit about law when you're in. I remember my first day, and I was in Natchitoches Parish when the program started. It started back in about '98. And I was reading through a deed. We have to get a deed to the property to make sure who we're funding actually owns the property. And so I saw, looking through there, and I saw the word usufruct. And I was like, what the heck does that mean, So what that means, I had to call my sister-in-law, who's a lawyer, to find out what that meant. So anyway, that just means that you can leave your land to the kids, but you can keep use of that property, maybe the timber. So we have to account for everybody in that deed, and I'll make sure all I's are dotted, T's are crossed. So it's pretty time consuming. And so at the same time, we're taking in new applications. At the same time of the year, we're having to pay for the practices. It's a reimbursement program. So it's a busy time of the year for me. But and also I handle our BMP, Best Management Practices program. And we in Louisiana, we do it every 3 years. We do a random survey of silvicultural practices, and our foresters go out and inspect and see if all BMPs were and we just do a survey on it. It's not, nobody gets in trouble or anything. We're just seeing, and every year it comes out to around 95% that people are doing the right management practices, and they're all voluntary, and we encourage that, because we don't want to make it, in some states it's law that they have to do those BMPs, and it takes up they have to get permits and everything else, but we'd like to keep it voluntary. So I think that's important. I also manage our state forest. We have one state forest, the Alexandria State Forest, in around Alexandria, Louisiana, and then I kind of oversee the Conservation Reserve Program, which is a federal program, but our foresters write the practice plans for them. What else? The Forest Legacy Program and the Forest Stewardship Program. So I stay pretty busy. When I first started as a young forester, it was most what you run into. They were wanting to replant their property in trees, and or manage their timber as a source of a retirement a lot of times. And so you go back to when Katrina or wildfires, and it burns it up. Well, a lot of these people, you got to look, they just lost their retirement, But I've seen a change as it's going on. It's used to, people hunting and stuff. You would lease out property, or these timber, they'd lease out property for a little or nothing for let people hunt on and stuff. And but now, hunting, I've seen in wildlife is really become a very profitable, because there's lands just around here that you go pay $20 an acre just for a lease. So it's come a little more profitable for big landowners to kind of maybe leave food plots for deer and different, doing wildlife stuff too in a piece of property to make it worth more to lease it out. and to help pay those property taxes as you're growing timber too. So it's a multi-resource thing, or it doesn't have to be hunting. It could be any kind of recreational thing. So like under the stewardship program, it's you know, when our foresters go out and meet with a landowner, they find out what their interests are. Their primary goal may be wildlife, and it may be deer, or it may be turkeys, or it may be just songbirds, and then, or it may, their primary objective may be timber, and then their secondary maybe wildlife. I've had some of them where their primary objective may be recreation, you know, walking trails and have shrubs. So there's so many ways. As I tell our foresters and stuff, you go out there and don't push your ideas on what the landowner wants. Let them tell you what their goals are, and you try to, and that's what a forester does. We know how to get to those goals, and that's what you got to do. Well, just like I was saying earlier, with the private land management, you're going out to meet that goals of that person. He knows or she knows what they want out of their property, their objectives are, and then we help them meet those objectives. Mm-hmm. But when you got public land, you got to meet it all, I guess you would say, because you got people that are come in that just want to hike and walk, and then you got people that want to hunt or maybe fish or do tree identifications or bird watching. You kind of tell, you can look at the property and just give them different scenarios of how to, you know, if you want this in your property, and you start talking to them, they'll come out, well, I saw this property over here and they got those big wide open grounds and sage grass and big tree, you know. But you know, with fire prescribed burning and stuff, you can meet those goals and make it look how they want it to look. You know? Down here, we're having a little problem with, and we have a program we're going out, but especially in St. Tammany Parish, Tangipahoa, and a little bit in this parish is Kogan grass, and and we go out and we have funds with through a grant, and we'll go out and spray or pay people to. Or reimburse contractors to spray Kogan grass on people's property. Come from packaging years and years ago out of China, okay. And it grows. It's got in the roots. It has a thorn that will go through water lines. I just was going to say, getting back to the, you know, where I started with the state, and I don't know, before I even graduated college, I knew I really would wanted to work for the department, because I got to do a little bit of everything. Like I said, I went on 3 wildfires the first day on the job. Did prescribed burning, handled invasive species, worked with landowners with wildlife, and managing the timber and replanting, and then even dressing up in Smokey Bear costume and going talking to kids. You got to do a little bit. Now, you like some of it better than others, but you got to do a little everything. And some of the other people one of the fellows that just retired from us, and he handled this program here. All he did his whole career was a procurement forester and bought timber for mills. So and you that gets old. I'd say if I had to do the same thing every day, it would get old. And before I started, and I always go back, before I decided to go to college, I was a butcher. And every day I went in that meat department, and then I could cut a whole pallet of meat and fill up the case and never remember doing it. Because you're thinking about something else, because you do it the same thing every day. And it just gets monotonous. But it's meeting new people every day. Just get out there with an open mind, because, you know, a lot of them think that you can go in and just, you know, with the timber market the way it is, you can go out and sell timber and make money. It's not there right now. You better have a more open mind and be able to handle wildlife things and all those different things that different landowners may want. And another thing too is, you know, the amount of, and at least in Louisiana, where used to have these big landowners owning this big tracts and stuff. Well, as time goes on, they ended up having to split up these properties to heirs and stuff. So tracts are getting smaller and smaller, but then it's hard to sell a little small tract too, you know. And so you're gonna maybe working with multiple landowners, and it's getting very dynamic, and you better what's the word I'm looking for? Just, I guess, enter it with open mind and knowing the challenges you have to face, you know, with that.